The title, Heat, Salt, and Sickness, captures more than a catchy podcast theme. It reflects the emerging reality of a planet whose seas are turning from protectors into silent aggressors. The world's oceans have absorbed staggering amounts of human-generated heat, masking the full fury of global warming for decades. But that borrowed time is running out. As ocean temperatures climb to record levels, they are driving a new wave of human illness and ecological collapse that extends far beyond the coastlines. What we are witnessing is not simply a change in weather, it is the beginning of a planetary fever that penetrates air, food, and even the bloodstream. The first and most immediate consequence is heat itself. When oceans warm, they supercharge the atmosphere, fueling longer and deadlier heat waves. This is not a distant threat. In recent years, marine heat waves have coincided with blistering land temperatures from California to India, creating feedback loops that trap entire regions in suffocating air. The human body has limits, beyond a wet bulb temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, where humidity and heat combine. Sweating no longer cools the body. Cells begin to fail, organs overheat, and death can come within hours. For the poor, outdoor workers, and those without air conditioning, these events are not survivable. Hospitals fill with victims of dehydration and kidney failure. Death certificates list heat stroke, but behind that single word lies a vast chain reaction beginning in the ocean. The second wave comes from salt, an element both vital and deadly. As ocean temperatures rise, evaporation intensifies, drying out continents while loading the air with moisture. Coastal areas face flooding and saltwater intrusion, contaminating drinking water and farmland. In Bangladesh, Pacific Islands, and parts of coastal Africa, wells that once sustained villages are now brackish. The result is an invisible epidemic of hypertension, kidney disease, and pregnancy complications caused by chronic salt exposure. Farmers who once relied on fertile deltas now struggle to grow even salt-tolerant crops, driving hunger and displacement. A hotter ocean, paradoxically, brings thirst and malnutrition inland. And then comes sickness, diseases that thrive in the warmth and moisture of a feverish planet. Warmer seas serve as incubators for bacteria, parasites, and viruses once limited to tropical zones. Cholera bacteria, for instance, multiply rapidly in warmer brackish water, leading to outbreaks that follow the path of coastal warming. Vibrio infections, once rare in colder regions, are now appearing along the North Atlantic and Baltic coasts, infecting people through seafood or small wounds exposed to seawater. Mosquito-borne diseases such as dengue and malaria are spreading northward as rising humidity and temperature create new breeding grounds. The line separating tropical illness from temperate safety is fading. Foodborne illness is also intensifying as ocean warming destabilizes marine ecosystems. Toxic algae, fueled by heat and nutrient runoff, are spreading across coastlines from the Gulf of Mexico to East Asia. These blooms poison fish and shellfish, introducing neurotoxins into the food chain. People who depend on the sea for protein are now facing the risk of paralysis or death from what used to be their daily sustenance. At the same time, collapsing fish populations force communities to eat whatever remains, often lower quality or contaminated seafood. Malnutrition and food insecurity follow, deepening the cycle of disease. Even air quality is compromised. Warming seas influence atmospheric circulation, extending droughts in some areas and triggering wildfires in others. These fires release fine particulate matter that penetrates deep into the lungs, worsening asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and heart conditions. The ocean's heat is not confined to the water. It reaches into the sky, turns forests into fuel, and turns every breath into a health risk. For those already burdened by poverty, malnutrition, or poor health care, each summer becomes a trial of endurance. The psychological burden of living in a heating world cannot be underestimated. As people experience repeated heat waves, water shortages, crop failures, and disease outbreaks, anxiety and despair grow. Farmers who lose land to saltwater or fishermen who watch coral reefs die are not only losing income, they are losing identity and purpose. This quiet erosion of mental health is one of the least visible but most pervasive consequences of ocean-driven warming. Depression, suicide, and community breakdown follow, where climate instability becomes daily reality. There is a darker truth behind all this. These changes are self-perpetuating. The hotter the oceans become, the less oxygen they hold, suffocating marine life and altering global carbon cycles. Dying plankton and coral reduce the ocean's capacity to absorb carbon, pushing even more heat into the atmosphere. It's a spiral, and it's accelerating. The health of the ocean and the health of humanity are no longer separate topics. They are one body, one fever. Warnings from climate and health scientists are growing louder, yet public awareness remains dangerously low. The idea that the ocean keeps us safe has turned into a false comfort. That safety net is fraying, and once it tears, it cannot be easily repaired. Coastal populations, low-lying nations, and equatorial regions will be the first to suffer catastrophic health losses, but the chain reactions will not stop there. Disease, migration, and food crises will reach every border. There is still a narrow window for prevention, but it requires unprecedented honesty and speed. Reducing fossil fuel use is not merely an environmental gesture, it is a medical necessity. Every fraction of a degree in ocean temperature means thousands of lives saved or lost. The grim truth is that humanity's collective health depends on waters we cannot even see from our cities. If the ocean continues to warm at its current pace, the phrase heat, salt, and sickness will no longer describe a podcast episode. It will describe the condition of our planet and the slow, preventable collapse of the systems that make life possible.